Alan Porter. Alan, what's going on, man? How are you?
Well, I didn't realize that I was going to podcast today with the world's tallest leprechaun.
You see that? Yeah. Vanessa, my fiance, got me the shirt last year, and I decided I want green today. I'm thinking money, I'm thinking green. So I said, you know what? I'm going to wear this on St. Patrick's Day weekend. And you've never been with the world's tallest leprechaun, have you?
No,
Well, you can't wait to meet me in person, right, Alan? Six foot
there you
10.
go.
You bet. All right. So when to take Social Security? Oh my gosh, people finally talking about Social Security. You know, it's so funny, Alan. I saw so many people going crazy. Can I add this real point before we even do the topic? I've been seeing these posts about the stock market crashing and what are we going to do? And why did I do this? My 401k is done. And I said, why haven't you been listening to Strategic Wealth Strategies podcast?
Yeah.
Right. I mean, seriously, I even commented and put Alan Porter based on one of the things. So, okay. Our topic today is when to take Social Security. This is a very important question. I've heard that over 80% of people take their Social Security to the to their detriment. Tell me what that deterrent. What does that mean?
Well, I mean, I can't. There's over, I think, 120,000 different ways to take your Social Security, and but most people take it to their detriment if they're healthy and everything. And the big thing is if you need it. That's the big thing. The other thing is uh, your health, and well, the first thing you need to consider is your health. If you don't think you're going to make it to age 75, then take it at 62. But there's a problem with this because if you were working and you take it at 62, this year $1 will be deducted for every $2 you make, and it changes every year. So if you make more than $23,500 in an extra job, please understand the average age for men now is 74 and 80 for a woman. Now that's come down a lot from what I used to say because it depends on who you get the information from. I've got people saying that 85 for a man, 87 for a woman, and now this is one of the latest things that came out from I think the SS Social Security Administration, 74 and 80 for a woman. But it's just basically what you need to understand is your health, the income need that you've got to have because you've got to have guaranteed income in retirement.
Absolutely. If you don't have guaranteed income for retirement, it's a big problem, right, Alan? So I mean,
Yeah.
because you're getting this big number coming out, right? And it's not a great situation. And taxes are going to keep going up. I mean, that's going to happen at one point, right, Alan?
Well, I'll tell you what, if Trump gets his way with all these tariffs and everything, the taxes may not be going up at all.
For a little bit. We had
Yeah,
to ride the wave, Alan.
yeah, you're right there. But there's a lot of misunderstanding what is going on in the political situation right now. But I don't want to get into that. But there's many factors that you need to take into account when you take your Social Security. Like number one, the health that I just stated. Number two, the amount of money saved in your retirement. Number three, this is very important. Where's the money saved for retirement at? And extremely important, does that money that you've saved for retirement give you guaranteed income? And this is, I just cannot express the importance of that because the average amount, and this, like I said, this changes with whoever you talk to. The average amount in a 401k for a baby boomer is approximately $249,000. And that can be gone within 5 or 6 years. It depends on the rate of uh, rate of distribution that you take. But uh, there's many problems in the stock market because it's a risk compounder. They can't protect you from sequence returns risk, which many people don't understand. And I'll real quickly, if you have a loss in the first 2 to 3 years of a 10 or 20-year period as compared to a loss in the last 10 or 20-year period, you're going to be out of money anywhere from the fifth to the ninth year. And people ask me, well, Alan, what do you mean by that? I said, well, think about it this way: you got $1 million in a stock portfolio, and you take a 4% distribution rate, and that's supposed to be a safe distribution rate to last for 30 years with the 3% inflation. Well, all my plans go to 120, and there's something like if you're married, there's something like and 65, there's something like 90 or 25% of living past age 90. But the thing is, the sequence returns risk again. Let's say you took it up to 4% distribution rate of that $1 million, and the next year the market goes down 100,000. Now you got 900,000 minus the 40,000 you took out, minus the fees you pay that financial advisor, whether you make money or not. And then what happens if 2008 happens again, where people lost 38 to 52%? You're going to be out of money probably in the fifth year, because you have to increase the distribution percentage to give you the same amount of money on a decreasing asset that's not growing anymore. The number one fear in retirement, Neil, is running out of money before you run out of life. Like I said, many times, I can recall 18 right off the top of my head. But if these annuities are structured, what they do is give you guaranteed income that you can't outlive, with increasing income in certain cases. But the problem with the stock portfolio is, just like I mentioned, some of those risks. Another big one is longevity risk, which is a risk multiplier. And then there's long-term care risk, which is extremely expensive. And people are not prepared for this. 70% of all Americans are going to need long-term care at some point in their life, and it costs between $50,000 to $200,000 a year. But the list goes on. I mean, there's market risk, there's tax risk, there's frailty risk. I mean, the list just goes on, and people don't know about this stuff, and their financial advisors aren't telling them about it.
No.
If they get paid that fee, whether they make money or not.
And now they're all looking at the stock market, Alan,
Yeah.
and they're looking at their 401k. I'm going to jump to this because I don't think that you expected, maybe as of yesterday, where this is for people out there that are concerned about their 401ks right now. Alan, you're seeing absolutely an attack on currently the tariffs that are happening and how the market is about to go to a recession. What are your thoughts on this, Alan? Kind of tell what the best thing to do, because there are going to be times when the market turns not to the best.
Well, I understand that. I mean, think about this. Biggest problem with individual investors, they are, what do you call that? Emotional investors. They love it when they don't sell when it's high. They sell when it's low because they're panicking. And it's the other way around. You need to buy when it's low and sell when it's high. And many individual investors do the opposite. But here's the thing, they don't know what all these tariffs are going to do. But just from what I've seen on the news, it's just like, Zelensky said, okay, well, I'm not going to do this, this, and this, and I'm not going to do this, this, and this. When they realize that the United States pays for all of this stuff, they always come back to the table. Everybody comes back to Canada, comes back to the table. Mexico comes back to the table. Panama's coming back to the table. Denmark's coming back to the table.
Because it's money.
All that outrageous stuff, but like Trump said, if you don't pay your fair share, we're not going to protect you anymore. That's just been going on for decades. The United States is picking up massive amounts of these bills. It's just like, I think, with Ukraine. The United States is hundreds of billions of dollars to Ukraine's aid, and the European Union was less than $100 billion. I don't know the exact numbers, but I know the United States was giving them more. And then Trump goes in there, and now the European Union is increasing their defense spending. And it's just like when it was in there the first time. They got a massive increase in NATO because Trump goes, we're not spending all this money anymore.
And it's because he's not working with all the special interests. Let's go to the next question. Alan, you told me before about the rate of return in retirement. Can expound on that. Can you expound on that?
Yeah, it's exactly like I kind of mentioned a little bit before, but it's not about rate of return in retirement. That's everybody I talk to. Well, what's your rate of return on this product? I said, it's not about rate of return in retirement. It's about distribution of your assets. Because with just as an example, you get that $1 million in your stock portfolio at a 4% distribution rate. That's $40,000 a year at 65. That's not guaranteed. You'd only need approximately $650,000 in certain fixed or fixed index annuities. And I'm not talking about variable annuities because they're tied to the stock market and their fees are over 4%. I'm talking about a properly constructed fixed indexed annuity, because you need approximately 2/3 of that So what you leave that would leave you to $350,000 to turn that into a Roth with extra money. But when you turn it to Roth, there's no required minimum distribution. There's no taxation of Social Security or the means testing for Medicare Part B. You can be protected from lawsuits, liens, and judgments if it's set up correctly. But you've got that $40,000. That's guaranteed for the rest of your life, and it will have increasing income when the indexing strategies go up, because we're guaranteed by contract never to have a loss due to market downturn. Because with these fixed and fixed indexed annuities, we are not tied to the market. It's the same thing with cash value life insurance. We can get the market gains, but we have a zero floor, so we're not going to lose any money because we're not tied to the market to make our money grow. And people don't understand this. And this can be done for both husband and wife, or spouse. It's a 0.5% less, but if one dies, the other one picks up the income for the rest of their life. And even if the accumulation value runs out and these fixed and fixed index annuities, Neil, think about this. That money is guaranteed until age 120. And if there's any money left in the accumulation after both people pass away, it goes to the beneficiary. I've had so many people tell me, well, I put all this money in an annuity and then I die, the rest of it goes back to the insurance company. That's not true at all. There's so many false accusations about life insurance out there. People need to become educated. Exactly. I became educated when terrible things happened to my family. And that's why I do what I do. And that's why I'm so passionate about what I do. But I mean, I can go on and on and on, and as you know about this stuff, because people are not educated. They need to think outside the box, conventional financial planning, and learn what's out there. Because 99% of people still, Neil, after I've been this for over a decade, they still don't know. Everybody I talk to, Alan, why has my financial advisor never told me about this? They're not licensed to sell the product. They're not educated on it. They're not properly educated on how to build a proper policy, and it's the way they're paid.
All right. Alan, such amazing information. And I think that the thing that you really do is you play a conservative route, consistent growth over time. You can risk some things, but don't risk everything like a lot of people do. And the bottom line is cash value life, you protect them as well. Cash value life insurance, so you don't have to worry about long-term care. You don't have to worry about specifically the sequence returns risk, all these different things. So starting now early, working with you will not just protect you from your money, but protect you from your life, protect your life, protect your loved ones, protect everyone around. And that's why you're so passionate about this. If you just go into a stock market, that's not going to protect you. That's just, and become your own banker too.
Yeah. I mean, it's like I tell everybody, I'm not against the stock portfolio, but when you go into retirement, you can't take on risk. So part of it needs to come from your stock portfolio, but then you've got to have other buckets of money. It used to be like three buckets of money: your pension, which very few people have anymore, Social Security, and your 401k. Well, now we don't have that. The people's savings are dwindling. They don't save nearly enough, and but people say, "Well, I'm diversified in my stock account." I said, "No, if you're in stock account, that's all you're not diversified in anything. When the market goes down, the market goes down. You may have a couple of select stocks that don't, but for overall majority, 99% will go down when the market goes down." But there's so many things out there, people, Neil, that people need to understand, and they don't.
Right. Again, go to email him at strategicwealth, the number 0 @gmail.com, or call him at 910-551-1046, or go to strategicwealthstrategies.com. Appreciate it, Alan.
You bet. You guys have a great weekend.
All right. That was the Strategic Wealth Strategies podcast, guys. Take care.